Hi everyone, we are here for our 2.3 lesson, Absolute Values of Rational Numbers, and this is from Envision or Savas. Our essential question: how are absolute values used to describe quantities? And you know that you can find and interpret the absolute value. And our overview for this time, we could solve and discuss a problem, describe quantities of absolute value, we'll find the absolute value, and we'll interpret what absolute value is. So let's start with solve and discuss. I want you to think of this problem. Okay, so a portion of a bank account statement is shown. How would you interpret the value of ending balance? So this is the information. The ending balance is negative $30. So I want you to pause a little bit, think what does it means when you see this in your bank. I'll give you time.
And interpret absolute values. Think about this question during the lesson. Stock prices rise and fall during the year. The table shows the overall change in the price of a company's stock from year to year. During which 2 years was the overall change in the stock price the greatest?
It makes sense that positive values show increases and negative values show decreases.
What are you asked to find?
So here we're gonna find what are the values that it represents. Okay, so let's pause this video.
You are asked to find the 2 years with the greatest change in stock price. Which is the greatest number in the table? Which is the least number in the table?
So how do you know it's the least and the greatest?
The greatest number in the table is 19. The least number in the table is negative 34. The absolute value of a number is its distance from 0 on the number line. Distance is always positive. The absolute value of negative 5 is written as shown below. The absolute value of 5 is written as shown below.
So it doesn't really matter which direction are you, but when we talk about absolute value, it will always be the distance away from 0. So you don't say, where are you now? Oh, I'm at negative 5. Where is that? That will make no sense. So the distance will always be on an absolute value form. Where either you're going down or going to the left, it will always be positive. Unless they tell you where are you located, then that's the time you can say, I'm 5 miles on the west side of the area. Or you could say, I'm at 0.5 or negative 5, I mean in the map. But usually we say, I'm 5 blocks away from my starting point on the west, but you have to describe them in terms of words, not by in terms of the negativity. Will always be absolute value, will always be a positive point of your starting point. Okay?
Because absolute value is a distance, and distance is always positive, what is always true about the absolute value of a number? Absolute value is always positive, except for 0. What is the absolute value of 0? Is it positive or negative?
Anybody can answer the question? Let's pause this video.
The absolute value of 0 is 0, and 0 is neither positive nor negative. To find the 2 years with the greatest change, use absolute values. In 2015, the change in price was $11. What is the absolute value of 11?
Select your answer.
The absolute values of the changes in the company's stock price each year are shown below. So the 2 years in which the change in stock price was the greatest were 2013 and 2014.
Do you have any question about this? Let's talk about it. Let's pause this video again. And with that said, let's try this question. All right, so here, the students in a science class recorded the change in the water level of a local river. During which week did the water level change by the greatest amount? Use absolute values to represent the change in the water level. The water level changed by the greatest amount of the week is what? So you could pick the answer from here and let's talk about it. For convince me,
can a lesser number represent a greater change in water level than a greater number? Explain.
If you have remembered the previous example that you have, right? If you go back to that previous example that says absolute value of -34, absolute value of 19, the absolute value of -34 is still considered the greatest change because we see the change in a positive way, right? So in this case, what is the change? All right, so let's proceed to our next example. All right, find the absolute value of A, B, and C. Absolute value of -4, absolute value of 0, and absolute value of 3. You could use the number line to figure out your answer. All right, for example, number 3. Negative numbers sometimes represent debt. Yasmin is a business owner. The table shows 3 account balances that represent her gallery debts. Which account has the least balance? So if you say C has the least, or it means the smallest balance, you're correct. Let's look at the next example. So the negative numbers sometimes represent debts. Yasmin is a business owner, as we know, right? So which account has the greatest debt? So definitely account B has more, that they owe more. Let's look at the last example. So the bank has 2 customers with overdrawn accounts. Overdrawn means they take more than what they have. Which balance has greater number? Which balance is lesser amount owed? So it has a greater number. They have more amount, more money that they owe, and lesser money that they owe. Okay? Questions? Let's discuss about that, okay? Let's pause this video again. So with it said, I want you to answer this question on how much you have understood the lesson for today. So for the math goal, do you still need help, or you're working on it, or you got it? For the languages, can you explain the work? Do you still need to work on it, or you always got it? All right? So okay guys, until next time for our next lesson. All right, so bye, and work on the papers that I have just given you. Good luck.